Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This segment I want to talk to you about home ownership. Home ownership. Why you need to stop renting. And I want to talk about home ownership. I've been talking with a few people about why should they stop renting. And I want to tell you the benefits of not renting and rather taking that payment and owning your own home. A lot of time why people don't want to buy a home, it's not that they don't want to, it's because they think they can't buy a home. And it's because of some of the following things I have here. One, they've been turned down for traditional funding due to their credit score may not be high enough, their income may not be high enough, or they don't have the down payment, they don't have excellent credit. And a lot of times people just are scared of involving banks and lenders because they use so many tactics to basically scrutinize your credit. They scrutinize you on home ownership. They pull your tax records. They pull where you lived in the past few years. They'll even pull your bank accounts to see if you have adequate deposits being made to your bank account. I mean, they want to know so much, every little detail, that they stress a prospective home buyer out. They stress them out. And so by the time a person get through with all of this process and get turned down for that particular home or that particular mortgage or loan, they're so frustrated to, I don't know, I just rent and be done with it. And there's nothing wrong with renters. I mean, we have to have renters, or you wouldn't rent apartments, would you? You wouldn't rent townhomes. But I'm talking to that person that's tired of renting. If you are tired of renting, let me ask you this. Are you currently renting? Because once I do this calculation, I want you to grab your calculator. Once I do this calculation, a lot of times that in itself explains why you should be thinking of home ownership rather than throwing your money down an empty well. Because with renting, you can rent that property for years, but you'll never own it. We're talking about home ownership. I'm talking to the person that want to own and are tired of year after year signing a lease, and you're paying all of that money and you're not seeing anything for that money other than, yeah, you was renting a nice place, but you don't own it. Okay. Suppose your rent is $750 a month. $750 a month. I want you to take that times 12. That's $9,000 a year if you're paying $750. I'm talking about $750. You take your own amount and you times that times 12. And you say, $9,000 a year, cost of living, okay? Now I want you to take that $9,000. A traditional mortgage will run you 30 years. Can you imagine paying somebody 30 years to own something? Really? 30 years? Now you can get some for 15 years. 15 years, but we're going to go with 30 years right now. We're going to work our way back down. So $9,000 at 30 years, that is $270,000 that you've paid out. 30 years, $270,000. Now, I'm just taking that amount at face value. I'm not even calculating in when you have a regular mortgage, you have to pay taxes. You have to pay hazardous taxes, property taxes, which are your real estate taxes. You have to pay these, and they calculate all this into your note because they don't want to take the risk that you're not going to pay those property taxes per year. So they just put it in your note, and the bank or the lender, they're the ones making sure that property note get paid, okay? But you're paying interest. You're paying interest out of the wazoo. A lot of times with these 30-year mortgages, you'll spend the first 15 years paying interest. It won't even have anything to do with bringing down the balance of that $270,000. That's what you're facing when you buy a home. Okay, let's say that you went 15 years. If you take the same calculations, $9,000 times 15 years, that's $135,000. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of houses out there a lot cheaper than $135,000. Now, I'm not saying not get a cheap house or expensive house. Get whatever you feel that you can afford. Get what you're not going to get stuck, be struggling with, and lose it. You get in what you can afford. And I'm here to talk to you about your first starter home, how to get a starter home. That's what I'm here talking to you about. But I just wanted to show you the calculations on the rent you're throwing away. Now, say you went out and you found a rent-to-own home, a rent-to-own property, and that note is $750. Same as the note you were paying on the apartment, $750. If you take that $750 times that year, times your 12, you still got $9,000, but I want you to times 7 years. That's going to come to $63,000. The starter homes that I'm talking about are homes that you get in. You find owners that are ready to sell their homes. They want to keep the middleman out, which is your banks and your lenders. Keep the big guys out. And this is just you one-on-one with the owner, rent to own that home. $63,000 at 7 years. And all of that $9,000 that you paid that year is going to go on the purchase and the balance of that home. Not a bunch of interest. I don't know what it would calculate to once you put on the little financing, but it wouldn't be as near as bad as it would be if you went with that traditional lender. Rent to own, you have your own home. You may not qualify for a mortgage. I get it a lot of times where people say, well, are you doing a credit check? No. With the homes that I'm talking about, we don't do a credit check because you know what? Sometimes good people have bad credit. Good people have bad credit. They had things that happened along the way where they was trying to pay the bills and, you know, life happens. You get behind. And then your credit score get pulled down when you're late on paying your bills. And then therefore you got bad credit. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means your credit score isn't as good as the next. You may not have a 720. You might have a 520. Doesn't mean that you didn't work as hard as that person with that 720. So when you getting this rent to own, you're going to still own your home at the end of that 7 years. Sometimes it may draw out to 10 years depending on your finances, depending on your note. But you're still going to own your home a lot quicker than your counterpart who still got several years to go. Okay, another benefit of renting to own, okay, I said no credit check. You don't have to qualify for a mortgage. You get anywhere from 6 to 10 years and you own your home. But based on your budget, you can get your payment down to your budget. You may talk with the owner and say, hey, I see you have a home here. I want to buy it. What is your qualifications? They may say, well, I want $850 a month. You maybe can't afford $850, but after some calculations, and they look at your income, and you got a decent down payment, they'll work with you. They say, hey, would this be comfortable in your budget? Can you afford $695? They make that, just that little difference can make all of the difference in you owning your own home. One thing that I've always learned is a closed mouth don't get fed. You could be hungry, stomach growling, but if you don't ever say anything, everybody hear your stomach growling. And some might feel a little sorry and offer you a little food. But if you don't ask, they might go on about their business because you're not asking, because your mouth closed. Can't nothing go in. A closed mouth don't get fed. Meaning, if you don't go into that meeting with that person with that house and say, hey, I see you want this. This is what I got though. Explain why that's all you have. I'll pay the note. I got this. I have the down payment. If you'll work with me with this. A closed mouth don't get fed. Ask for what you want. That's all you have to do is ask. Don't be afraid. Ask for what you want. Go in there. Become a first-time home buyer. Just because it's not the traditional way doesn't mean you can't become a homeowner. You can become a homeowner. All of us can. But you got to have the mindset that, hey, I'm going to stop renting and I'm going to take that same money and apply it towards my own home, my own yard, my own driveway, somewhere where I don't have to go up and down steps. Now, I'm not knocking apartments. Now, I had an apartment when I started. I love my apartment. I'm not knocking that. I'm talking to the person that's ready to get out of renting and get into home ownership, where they got their own garage, where you got your own backyard, where you can have barbecues without anybody telling you you've broken rules. Those are the people I'm talking about. Those are the ones I'm talking to, okay? Don't think I'm knocking anything, because I don't knock nothing. I don't put nothing down, because I've been there, done that. I have. I'm just showing you the benefits of owning a home. And that first home, you're going to directly buy it from the owner. You're not going to have the bank and the mortgage in there, the mortgage company in there telling you a whole list of stuff that you got to have. A whole bunch of money over here that you got to have before they'll even sit down and even talk to you. No, I'm telling you to just put it out on the table, lay your cards out, tell that person, hey, I saw this home, I like this home, what can we do to get me in this home? Them the kind of people I be wheeling and dealing with. Somebody that I know mean business. Somebody that I know they tired of the rat race. They tired of not having. They've dreamed of having their own home. Maybe you just want to get your first piece of real estate, because I'm always talking to people about getting real estate. You just want to get your own personal property so that you can turn it around and flip it, turn it around and invest it, turn it around and make it be an Airbnb. You may want to put your first family in it. Whatever you do, it's yours, and it's yours to do that with, as long as you are on a home ownership contract. Get out of renting and get into your own home. Let that be your starter home. May not be the first home you want. Hey, I get a lot of times, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, and I get a lot of times where people want to stay in North Jackson because the streets are nice. They are. It's the truth. They're nice. And you don't see garbage all up and down side the road. But there are a lot of nice places in West Jackson and South Jackson. There are. They are. You just got to get out and ride. They out there. But those starter homes now can be somebody else's blessed first home. Don't knock it. Don't knock it because it's not in the area you don't want to live in. But somebody wants to live in it, or there wouldn't be neighbors, right? Somebody wants to live there, and it's up to you to be that person to make sure that you get that home, fix it up, and put a family there, put somebody there, make it nice. Be that beacon in the neighborhood that others will say, ooh, that house look good. I want my house to look good. Then that house gonna look good. Then her house gonna look good. And before you know it, everybody on this street want to look nice because you came in and made a difference. Instead of putting it down, you made a difference. Stop putting down what don't look good to you, because what doesn't look good to you, what's that saying? One man's junk is another man's treasure. So one rundown house could be another person's dream home. You keep that in mind. You keep that in mind.